What's going on, guys? This is going to be a little bit of a different video than what you're used to. Life update. It's now 2024. Last year was I learned a lot, but coming into the new year, I'm giving you guys a little life update. And don't mind the background. It's a little bit messy. I'm in a career change right now. This is why this video is coming out, pretty much. I left my job as a drone pilot, instructor, salesman, a whole bunch of other things to join the Air Force. And this is going to be my first video of a couple of videos that will pretty much be my journey through the Air Force. A little bit of background, my whole family is probably military focused or military based. My dad was a helicopter pilot for the Philippine Air Force. When my brother finished his college degree, he went to the Air Force. My sisters, they married into the Air Force, so my brother-in-laws are Air Force as well. And then my whole uncles, grandfathers, and things were also military based in the Philippines. So then there's me. I took a little bit of time joining the Air Force because I wanted to travel a little bit more as a civilian, I'd say, as a regular person out in society. And then as time progressed, I was like, okay, I'm kind of getting not really bored of my 9 to 5 or my 7 to 3. It was that within my company, there was only so much that I can do. I felt like I was already at the pinnacle of what I can go for within our company, and I didn't feel like I had room to grow. So I kind of made it a thing that once I felt comfortable enough to go ahead and finish processing my Air Force paperwork, that I would really go ahead and pursue this career change. At first, I wanted to do it right after high school, after I was like 18, 19. But my parents wanted me to go to college first, so I got my associate's degree here in California. And then I started working. I worked at Micro Center for some time, and then I worked for DJI for some time, and then I worked for this other company that bought out the DJI store here, and then I've been there probably for the past 5 years. So I'm 29, about to be 30 in May, and I leave January 9th, which is next week, next Tuesday, for Air Force BMT. So all my brother-in-laws and my brother have told me, pretty much they gave me tips and tricks. I know the whole thing about BMT and tech school and duty stations and things like that. So all this in the background is me preparing for Air Force basic training. But this video will primarily focus on is the MEPS experience, which is military entry processing station, which all armed forces within the US will go through when they want to join any of the armed forces, Army, Marines, Coast Guard, Navy, Air Force, Space Force, etc., things like that. So this was my experience towards the end of 2023. So this is probably going to be what most people will probably go through. So my MEPS experience was put into 2 different days. I still worked full time, so it was hard for me to get 2 full days to take the ASVAB, spend the night near the MEPS station, and then the next day do the full physical. So I had to break it up into 2 different days. So one of the days, of course, this is all after you submitted your application, done all your paperwork with your recruiter, and then your recruiter signs off that you're ready for MEPS. Then that's when you'll schedule your MEPS day, pretty much, or your ASVAB, and then your physical. So spent one whole day, not really one whole day, probably 4 or 5 hours at MEPS doing my ASVAB. That time frame, they say that you can be to sign in between 9 o'clock and 2 p.m. to take your ASVAB. But when you do your full physical, then that's majority of your whole day is going to be gone. So ASVAB is pretty easy. Depending on your career field or the career job you want to place in, of course, you need an ASVAB score to qualify for the list of jobs that you can do within the armed forces. You can retake the test if you were not happy with your scores. You have to wait 30 days, and then your recruiter has to put in a request for you to retest for the ASVAB if you wanted to retake it, if you didn't feel happy about your scores, etc. with the ASVAB out of the way, I was happy with my score. And then I discussed with my recruiter probably the following weeks to the physical that, oh, these are the career fields that we'll be doing. And then taking the physical was a whole different like thing on its own. Yeah, I feel like it might be a lot difficult than like the first weeks of BMT probably. The regular people that work at the BMT station, either they have prior military service, either veterans, and then of course some of the staff are all either enlisted or officers that are working there at the MEPS station. So if you're able to drive at your MEPS station, I would highly advise that, because once you're done with MEPS, you can drive home. They'll sign you out. You're good to go. If you choose to stay like those 2 days, of course they'll put you in a hotel, but you have to wait till everyone's done with their physical before you can go home, before everyone loads up on the bus and then goes back to the hotel. So if you have the choice to drive yourself to the MEPS station for either your ASVAB or your physical, if you have the accommodations to do so, I would highly suggest that, so you can drive at your own time, and then you can leave whenever you're done with all your thing. They'll sign you out, you're good to go. Otherwise, you'll stuck at the MEPS station watching reruns of videos, just sitting in the lobby waiting for pretty much everyone to finish processing, and then everyone goes home at the same time. So if your family members are able to drive you, if you can't drive, you can Uber, you can take a taxi. Usually your recruiter will say, do you have a ride? Do you want to take a taxi? Do you want to sleep at the hotel? Do you want to drive yourself? So they'll usually give you those three options. Then you choose it whoever you need to. I drove. So I chose to drive because it was easier for me, and then I can leave whenever I need to. I don't have to wait the whole day. So ASVAB only took me about maybe 2 or 3 hours. I went there at the earliest convenience my recruiter was able to put me into, and then it didn't take that long. It was similar to the ASVAB you would probably take in high school, a little bit more difficult because of course it's like in a full and official ASVAB. So if you need to take tests or refresher courses, Amazon sells the ASVAB study guide, and then there's also online classes that you can take for AFQT or ASVAB practice tests. And there's a lot of study material online. So if you know you're pretty difficult in a study or aptitude area, either math, science, etc., I'd say just take a refresher course on it. It'll probably save you so much time and a lot of stress on that day, just to pretty much get the highest score possible on the first try, so you don't have to wait the 30 days. Onto the physical, the full physical. Pretty much as long as you don't have any like health disqualifications in terms of like medically diagnosed asthma or things like that, or any health complications that you disclose with your recruiter, then you should be good to go to take your physical. On the physical day, there was probably maybe 5 or 10 of us just doing our physical, so it was pretty quick for me, but unfortunately it still took a long time because there was limited doctors to overview pretty much the whole worksheet. But how the physical process works, that you'll arrive. If you drive, you have to be there before like 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning, and then at like 5:30, 6 a.m. the buses arrive from the people that stayed in the hotel. And then everyone lines up outside and then waits to be called in, go through security, and then you go to your different armed forces liaisons, pretty much. So for me, Air Force, Space Force, I went to the Air Force liaison and say, hey, I'm doing my physical. And then they give me my paperwork, and then I'll walk up to the MEPS station upstairs for the full physical tests and stuff. So for the full physical, it's pretty much they'll go through everything. They'll do your vision test, hearing test. They'll take your blood pressure. They'll take some blood. You do a pee test, and then you'll do weight, like body weight, and then weights training. Not really weights training, but weights lifting to see what your max is. And then at the end, once you complete all of those stations, then you'll wait to see the actual the doctor, pretty much, and then they'll go through all of your paperwork, and then they'll ask you some medical questions, have you done like marijuana, any drugs or substance abuse, things like that, and then, or if you're under any medications, then that will be disclosed there. Or depending on how you and your recruiter discuss, then of course you guys know how to handle that. But yeah, for me, it was just going to be, so the first station we went to, we did blood pressure test. It was fine. It was a little bit high because I was nervous, but they all know that. So if your blood pressure is too high, they'll have you sit off to the side for about 5 or 10 minutes to chill out, get some water or whatever, and then you'll take your blood pressure again. And then the next station, we did the hearing test. There's like 6 people that goes into this like soundproof box pretty much. They close the door, you put these headphones on, and then you have the little clicker. Whenever you hear a tone in your left or right ear, you'll push the button. So that's how the hearing test is. Next station was for vision. So vision and reading. I wear glasses, so I brought my glasses with me and a copy of my prescription. They didn't really use my prescription, but I brought it just in case they had to write it down for entry. But you'll have to read a few paragraphs, read a few sentences, and then they'll have you pretty much go through this whole paragraph that articulates all of your words. So they'll restart you if you stumble on some words. They'll have you restart and reread the whole paragraph. Then after that, and then after the vision, I went to do the P test, and it's pretty much how everyone says. It's of course, guys and girls are in different bathrooms, so guys go in like 4 or 5 at a time. It's open. They have to visually watch you, unfortunately. So just everyone's an adult, so don't be don't be too childish about it. Like, everyone's an adult. You know what you're signing up for when you're joining like the military or any like military school. You'll probably go through the full same physical process as everybody. Of course, they're going to be watching you. So there's one liaison that walks with you into the bathroom. They'll say, hey, use your sample cup pretty much. And then everyone walks up into a urinal. Of course, you do your sample, and then you're holding your little pee cup, and then you wait in line, and then there's this like little window that you walk up to, you give them your name, and then you close it up, you put your little sticker and stuff on it, and then that's pretty much that. So it's all open, got almost not really shoulder to shoulder, but it's urinal, and then your guys are just like out there. Just mind your business, don't look left or right, whatever, just do your thing, don't focus on it. But yeah, you will be watched, and you'll be in front of other people, or in front of the other recruits or trainees or people that other people that are doing their physical. After the P test, we waited for blood draw. It's the same thing. You'll pretty much wait in line, and then they'll sit you down into the medical chair, and then right or left arm, they'll take your blood. After that, you go to like body mass pretty much, and then you'll stand on the scale. They'll take majority of your clothes off down to like your boxers or so, and then you'll stand on the scale. They'll take your weight, and then you'll do maybe a couple of stretches and things like that. And then they get your height, weight, and then your like waist circumference or so. After that's done, then you go back to the MEPS liaison, say, hey, I went through all these stations, I'm good to go to see the doctor. They'll check off your paperwork, or your little name tag will usually have like stickers and stuff on it. They'll highlight it or mark it out. It usually took about maybe an hour or two between participants before the next person is called. So of course there's a female and there's a male doctor, and then that's where they'll pretty much ask you your medical questions. Have you been running? Do you have any asthma? Do you have any trouble breathing? They'll check your ears. They'll listen to your lungs and things like that. And then they'll have you do the duck walk, and then they'll check for any hernias. So they'll have a chaperone. There'll be a chaperone. So if your doctor's a female, they'll ask for a male chaperone to come in to observe while like you have to drop your pants. They'll check your genital areas and things like that. Make sure there's no abnormalities. And then after that, they'll pretty much just really finish up your paperwork and say that you're good to go to see the Airforce liaison. And then that's when you choose your AFSC list. So if your physical went good and you pass everything, you don't have to get any waivers and stuff like that, then you'll go down to your Armed Forces liaison, and then that's where you'll get your ASVAB score, and then they'll upload all of your documents, and then that's where you'll get your AFSC list, your job list pretty much, and then that's where you choose from highest priority to lowest priority, I guess, of the job list that you want. But that was pretty much it. I mean, a lot of people say it's bad. A lot of it's just waiting. As long as you're patient, unfortunately, you can't have like your phone in there as you're waiting. You can't have your headphones in, unfortunately. They do have like TVs and stuff around, but the earlier you get there and like the earlier you are in line, the faster you can get through all the stations, because you don't have to really wait for anybody. All the station, there's no real order to go to the stations. They're pretty much first come, first serve. If the line for the hearing, there's no one there, you go straight there. If there's no line for vision, you just go straight to vision. There's no clockwise or counterclockwise order to do the physical. It's just depending how many people are taking their physical that day, and then how quickly everyone goes through their stuff, pretty much. But that's my experience. It wasn't really nerve-wracking because I didn't really have anything that I was worried about. I think it's just now settling in that I leave for basic training in less than a week, so next Tuesday. I wanted to also wait to make this video or record this video because I was still working full-time. I didn't want to disclose that I was resigning from the company just yet until I finally knew for sure that I qualified and I'm good to go. So I'm finally able to record this video. I'm finally able to post this video, even though I took MEPS like 3 or 4 months at the end of 2023. But yeah, so this is my MEPS experience. It's just a lot of waiting. Just be patient. Just do what you need to do. If you can drive there, drive yourself or have a family member drive you. Take an Uber, or your recruiter can do a taxi for you. You have that option. And try to get there early, as early as you can. Let your recruiter know. If you're doing it 2 days, if you're doing the ASVAB and MEPS in 2 days, that's totally fine. It's up to your schedule. And if you work full time, you have a family, things like that, of course, the recruiter will ask you what your availabilities are, so you can make those proper accommodations. My experience, it was pretty quick for me. I felt like it was pretty quick, and then I didn't have any issues. I didn't really have much anxiety other than I was just nervous just being there just for so long. But as long as you're cool, calm, collected, and you have all your ducks in a row, you should be totally fine. If you guys have questions, feel free to comment, and then I can answer them however I need to. And then I'll make a separate video of what I'll be packing for BMT. Yeah, that's my MEPS experience, guys. Next video will be what to pack for BMT. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later.